Hey, welcome back to Sun Ra Artist Homestead. My name is Syra. So I've created quite a microclimate in my garden here just by planting so much diversity. I brought in a lot of wood chips. I do a lot of hugelkultur methods. I've used a lot of stone and worked with water. I have a couple of small ponds, some waterways. I have buildings as wind blocks. Also, I'm surrounded by trees. I'm on hillside. That all really helps, create an environment that will thrive. So I'm in the West Kootenays of British Columbia, Canada, and my zone is approximately from 5 to 6. Let's start out in the what I call the south end plot here. So I've actually got cuke towers amongst all of these sunflowers. These are all volunteer sunflowers. So I planted my cuke towers out first, and then all the sunflowers came and shaded everything out. But I've harvested a few and they're producing. Got a new apple tree, a bunch of bee balm in here, liatris, cukes. Ready to harvest. Some Savoy that's a bit later. Onions are looking pretty good. I don't think it'll be as big of a harvest this year compared to last year. I had some bug problems, but they're coming around now. I got a lot more red ones this year. Who Gets Kissed corn is really rocking. A whole bunch of broccoli heads in here need to be cut. This huge delphinium in this wood pot container that I got sunken into the ground has just kind of spread open and collapsed and kind of shaded out some of my broccoli, and then the potatoes are just kind of taken over as well. It's a big magnolia tree here. Look at that beauty. Suyo Long. It's my favorite now. They don't go bitter in the heat. Some zucchini, poppies and zinnias and hyssop in there. These potatoes are so tall. Marigolds, more potatoes, and San Marzano tomatoes on the back. Little roses in here, peeking out of the greenhouse. Got the sunflowers towering over. So these are my new wicking barrels here. I planted heart of gold melons in them. Over here I've got 6 cukes, Suyo Long, and I just harvested off of them, so there's nothing ready, but there's some bunch more coming real soon. All this gorgeous sweet basil. It's just growing thick and lush. Gonna be harvesting all of this to make a pesto. So my watermelons are finally taking off. They took forever to do anything. And yeah, I hope they make it. It's getting pretty late for the size that they are, but hopefully I'm surprised. Look at the peppers on some of these. That's an Anta High. They will go red. Corno di Toro. So this pathway in here is also a composting trench. It's holding a lot of water and microbes. I've got kitchen scraps in here, manure, straw, and wood chips. And so that's just breaking down, and about every other day I just leave the hose running and it fills up. So this trench will be holding a lot of water and just feeding the beds on either side. It's always a race with the mites and the health of the plant. I usually always get fruits, but they start going downhill after their first kind of cropping. It just seems like it's a part of it. I've never grown eggplant without mites, I don't think. Cinnamon basil, Thai cooking, oh, amazing. Hyssop and zinnias, these box planters. Let's go back this way to the food forest area. Got quite a crop of apples on this Harcourt tree. Stelbies are blooming. Echinacea is just starting to bloom now. Yeah. So I have quite a bit of rock work here. It's a little hard to see because there's so much foliage everywhere. But I had a machine move some of the large rocks for the base lines, and then I've done all the other by hand. So it just kind of goes up the bank here, and I just call it the rock garden. I've got It's pretty wild now. I've planted roses at the top there, and at one point I had cranberries, and I did plant it out with domesticated plants for the most part, but now it's kind of grown in and grown over. Black cap raspberries. A large blueberry here, just a few berries. Most of my blueberries, the large ones that I planted or transplanted, are taking a break because the first year I left the flowers on. I transplanted some Indian paintbrush, and it's unlikely that it would come back with the transplant, but one did, so that's pretty cool, just because it does need a host to really thrive, and so when you transplant them, you kind of rip apart the root taps off of the host plants. Oh, this is cool. This is a jasmine tobacco that came back. That's what I had planted all around here last year, and so this is a self-seeding. Foxgloves are just finishing up. Like, these are going to bloom next year, so I have blooming every year, but some are, they're at different stages. Bee balm in here. Come out this way so you can get a view of the trees. I haven't got fruit off of the nectarine yet. A couple little small things. It's bloomed one year like profusely. This year it bloomed a little bit, but it's yet to really hold any fruit. Still open on her. Such a beautiful guild here. I started all this liatris from seed, and we're just starting to open now. Got some of these little blue guys in here. The peach put out an amazing harvest last year, and probably have about half that size this year, so something. The Opata plum is fruiting for the first year. I was actually unsure if I had a pollinator for this one, but it turns out we're okay. Oriental lilies are going to bloom very soon. Now, the shape of this tree and the low profile of it works well for the lilies because they get the light at the top. Some fava beans in here and garlic. Got poppies everywhere this year because I scattered them all over. All the foxgloves are making seed. I'm going to throw a lot more seed around because they're pretty much one of my favorite flowers. All right, let's go through the trail here. Strawberries, bee balm. There's a currant in there too. It's getting a little shaded. Don't have anything in this teepee this year. Look at the stilbees, more zinnias. So this is a hugelkultur here that ends with the peach tree. The peach tree wasn't really planted on top of a hugelkultur, it just starts beside it. So just creating hugelkulturs beside trees is really beneficial for them because the roots can grow into that moisture and have that protection. And blueberries that are, yeah, still trying to adjust. A couple of varieties didn't really adjust for me. These are all large transplants. Got some berries. I've got a free res container there and some pond liner. It's going to drop that into that area there. This is a waterway in the spring. It also overflows from the pond. If I get some ducks, I will certainly like that. Got hydrangeas in this hugelkultur, so it wraps all the way around here. All these are lilacs. Rock wall in there, you can't see it's so overgrown, and the waterway fills up with water here, and it actually seeps right through this bed in the spring, but it also goes down channel and winds down that way. Here are a bunch of pickling cukes I planted on this trellis, along with zinnias. I've also seeded some amaranth and quinoa in here. I'm not sure if I kept it well enough watered for them to come up. I haven't seen them. It was a little bit late for the seeding too. Volunteer raspberry. I'm not sure which variety it is. I covered this hugel in raspberry canes, like prunings, 1 year, and so there she is. Ah, these little bellflowers, these are really awesome. They just showed up on my property. I'll show you a big cluster of them in a minute. It's my pear tree. I just pulled her up this summer. She was really lopsided, so she did flower this spring, but no fruit stayed on. Big strawberry hydrangea in here. I love this one. It kind of sprawls out on the ground. And yeah, this is the other side of the hugelkultur here. The Italian plum tree at that end. Pear at this end. Lots of rhubarb, flags, lemon balm. Here's some amaranth or quinoa. I'm actually not sure which one it is. It's the first time I've actually seeded it. So I've got, oh, blueberry. These are a new perennial, evening primrose. I had no idea they got so big. These are pretty cool. Volunteer sunflower. Wow, that lemon balm. Coreopsis in here. It's a little bit overgrown actually. Hyssop. More rhubarb. Look at these stilbes and hyssop. Stinging nettle here. It's going to flower. And some broccolis. Check these out. I gotta cut these. Quite a bit of bug damage, but they still headed up pretty nice. Not complaining with that. They're on the verge of opening though. There's a loganberry peeking through. These loganberries. I've got blackberries and loganberries in this food forest area here, and I haven't really put them up. My plan was to put them in like a tower kind of thing, but yeah, that hasn't happened yet. I think it's been 2 years. And these are those beautiful bells I was talking about. They just showed up on my property, and yeah, I really like them. I did plant them under this new peach tree here. She's doing quite well. A donut peach tree. Galaxy is the variety. The root system on them is quite woody, and they kind of spread. Like, they're a little bit vigorous for sure, but wow. I'm used to the other bells that are kind of dainty and they just kind of fall over and don't do a whole bunch. But this variety, I have no idea what it is, but some type of campanula, fennel. These guys are ready. I gotta start harvesting these. They're really so thick you can't even see them. They're not huge, but pretty nice. Yes, definitely ready. I better cut a bunch of these and do some juice. I've planted some leeks in the front, still kind of small. Then some beet transplants, some red and some gold. They're looking good. And then a lima bean here, and they are really vigorous growers. It's really a large bean. So this is my second year trying these. Had enough last year, pretty much just for seed. I still have some, I didn't plant them all. And so I'm hoping that I will get a harvest enough to eat this year, because they got them in a lot earlier. Pulling down the trellis almost a little bit. More garlic here. Oh, there's some places where I forgot to take the scapes off. Liatris, I started from seed behind the Galaxy peach tree. A couple beds of carrots. I love putting these boards on here. It keeps the weeds down and keeps my cat out of the beds too when they're younger. A whole bunch of celery in there. There's my Asian pear here. She's cropped out the last 3 years, like quite a lot. So she's going a little easy this year. I noticed some splitting on my bark down there. That's really sad. I need to look into that, see what I can do to patch her up a little bit. I want to plant another one of these. It's always good to have like a backup of your favorite tree, for sure. Lots of volunteer sunflowers in here, and all these zinnias I've planted. Marigolds. Let's check the celery out. Looking pretty good. I'm keeping it fairly watered. I wanted to put some rubber bands on some of these. I've yet to do that. That's supposed to help blanch them a bit just by keeping them tighter. However, if slugs do get in there, then they have a bit more of a home if it is tight. So I'm a little concerned about that, but slug load has been pretty minimal this year, which is nice. All these volunteer carrots, and I've thinned the ones that showed up in the bed here with the celery, and so hopefully we'll get some carrots pretty soon here. I'm curious to see how they do just in the pathway. It's a king apple in the middle here. It's really getting grown over in here. I wanted to get these blackberries up, but I haven't yet. And yeah, I'm gonna come in as soon as I get a source on a bunch more wood chips or I get some blackberries. They really need to be put up though on something so that they stay out of the moisture because they tend to rot easily. A couple more little things to show you. Gonna have to leave the greenhouse for another show. Nice little tower of runner bean and Araucaria squash. Look, I've got pink salmon colored runners and the bright orange. A little box of peppers. Oh, look at this little lovely display in here. Also coming up is some videos on, what I do with all of the food that I grow, plus more garden tours. Thanks a lot for watching. Keep your heart inspired. We'll see you real soon.